The helicopter blades sliced through the thick jungle air with a steady, mechanical roar. Below them, the world was nothing but endless green, dense canopy stretching as far as the eye could see, swallowing sunlight like it was never meant to reach the ground. Inside the aircraft sat Staff Sergeant Alina Carter, a highly trained USA Army combat survival specialist. Her uniform was clean, her gear perfectly strapped, and her posture controlled, but her eyes told a different story. Alert, focused, calculating. This was not her first mission. But something about this one felt off. Approaching drop zone in 3 minutes, the pilot announced over the intercom. Alina leaned slightly forward, checking her tactical display. The mission was simple on paper: deep jungle reconnaissance, scan for unknown signals, confirm satellite anomalies, and return within hours. No enemy confirmed. No active threat detected. That's what the briefing said. But Alina had learned long ago that briefings didn't always tell the truth. She glanced outside again. The jungle below was too still. No birds, no movement, no natural rhythm. Just silence wrapped in green. Visibility is dropping, the co-pilot said. Storm front forming faster than expected. Alina's jaw tightened slightly. Storms in jungles didn't appear suddenly like that. Something about the atmosphere felt unnatural. She adjusted her grip on her harness. Maintain course. We complete the drop as planned. The pilot nodded, but hesitation lingered in his eyes. Then it happened. A sharp metallic bang echoed through the helicopter. "What was that?" someone shouted. The aircraft jolted violently to the left. Warning alarms exploded across the cockpit. "Rotor instability detected," the pilot yelled. "We've got a critical failure." Alina immediately reached for the emergency handle. "Brace for impact." The helicopter shook harder, violently now, like something had grabbed it from the sky. "Mayday, mayday, we are going down," the pilot screamed into the radio. But there was no response. Only static. Alina's training kicked in instantly. No panic. No hesitation. Just survival logic. "Everyone secure yourselves," she shouted. But it was too late. A second impact hit them, harder this time. Something unseen had struck the aircraft again. The engine screamed. The helicopter tilted forward at a deadly angle. Trees rushed up from below like sharpened spears. Alina barely had time to breathe. Impact in. Boom. The world shattered. Silence followed like a heavy blanket. Then came the sound of fire crackling. Alina groaned as she forced her eyes open. Her vision blurred. Her body ached like every bone had been struck at once. Smoke filled the air, thick and choking. The helicopter was gone. Broken metal scattered across the jungle floor like broken bones of a giant machine. Flames licked at twisted wreckage. Alina pushed herself upright slowly. "Pilot," she called, voice hoarse. "Sergeant Davis." No answer. Only the distant sound of the jungle. Alive. Watching. She checked her gear instantly. Rifle damaged but usable. Sidearm intact. Radio flickering weakly. Medical kit partially crushed. Her breathing steadied. She pressed the radio button. "Command, this is Sergeant Carter. I am down. Crash site unknown. Request immediate extraction." Static answered her. She tried again. "Command, respond." Nothing. A cold realization began creeping in. No signal. No response. No backup. She was alone. Completely alone. The jungle around her felt different now. What was once just dense forest had transformed into something far more unsettling. It wasn't just quiet. It was too quiet. Even the insects had stopped. Alina stood slowly, scanning the wreckage. That's when she saw it. A pilot's helmet. Cracked. Half buried in mud. No body. She crouched beside it. No blood trail, no movement, nothing. Just disappearance. Her instincts tightened. This isn't normal, she muttered. A distant rustling sound came from the trees. She turned sharply, rifle raised. Nothing. Then another sound. Closer. Branch movement. Slow, deliberate. Alina adjusted her stance. Show yourself, she whispered. A pair of glowing eyes appeared between the trees. Low to the ground. Still. Watching. A jaguar. Massive, silent, perfectly still. Alina didn't move. Time slowed. The jungle itself felt like it was holding its breath. The jaguar stepped forward once. Then stopped. Its gaze locked onto her, not like an animal reacting to prey, but like something assessing a threat. Alina raised her rifle slightly. Don't do it, she said under her breath. The jungle went silent again. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the jaguar turned away and vanished. No attack. No warning. Just disappearance. Alina didn't lower her weapon for several seconds. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears. That wasn't normal behavior, she whispered. Something was wrong with this ecosystem. Deeply wrong. Night came faster than expected. The jungle transformed completely. Shadows stretched longer, the air grew colder, every sound felt amplified. Alina built a small defensive position near the wreckage, using broken metal and jungle debris as cover. Her training dictated procedure. Secure perimeter. Establish visibility. Conserve ammo. Maintain silence. But nothing about this place felt like standard survival rules applied. The radio suddenly crackled. Alina froze. A broken voice came through. Unknown survivor, if you can hear this. Her grip tightened instantly. Identify yourself, she whispered urgently. Static. Then the voice returned. Do not stay near crash site, it is not safe. Alina looked around immediately. What is this place? She demanded. The voice hesitated. Then came the final line. You are not alone in the jungle. The radio died. Alina stood in the darkness, staring into the endless trees. And for the first time, she felt it. Not fear, but awareness. Something out there had already found her. And it was waiting. A distant roar echoed through the jungle. Low. Deep. Unnatural. Alina raised her rifle again. This mission just turned into survival, she whispered, and stepped forward into the darkness. Night in the jungle didn't arrive like a normal sunset. It fell. Fast, heavy, final. One moment the forest was dim green and fading light, and the next, everything was swallowed by a black so dense it felt physical. Staff Sergeant Alina Carter tightened her grip on her rifle. The wreckage behind her was still burning in places, small fires flickering like dying signals, but the jungle beyond it was already alive again. Too alive. Not peaceful alive. Predatory alive. Alina crouched behind a twisted piece of helicopter metal, scanning the tree line. Her breathing was controlled, but her senses were stretched to their limit. Every soldier knows this feeling. When the environment stops feeling like a location and starts feeling like a presence. A branch snapped somewhere to her left. Her rifle snapped up instantly. Nothing visible. Only darkness layered over darkness. Then another sound, closer this time. A dragging noise. Slow, heavy. Alina shifted her position silently, moving low across the wreckage field. The soil was damp, uneven, and full of debris. Every step had to be perfect. One mistake in a jungle like this wasn't a mistake. It was a signal. She stopped near a broken rotor blade, sticking out of the ground like a grave marker. The dragging sound stopped too. That made her freeze. "Come on," she whispered. "I know you're there." Silence answered. Then, a shape moved between the trees. Alina focused immediately. It wasn't fully visible, just a distortion in the darkness. Something large, upright for a moment, then low again. Her finger tightened on the trigger. Human, she thought. No response. She shifted slightly to get a better angle. And then she saw it. A torn piece of fabric hanging from a branch. Military material. But not American. She moved closer slowly, eyes locked on it. Someone had passed through here recently. Very recently. The fabric was still fresh. That meant one thing. She wasn't alone. But the jungle didn't feel like it wanted her to find others. It felt like it was separating everything. Like a system designed to isolate targets. A chill crawled down her spine. "This isn't random," she muttered. "This is controlled movement." Suddenly, a deep growl rolled through the trees. Not loud. Not distant. Close. Alina turned sharply. And saw it. A leopard stepped into a faint opening between trees. But something was wrong. It wasn't behaving like a normal predator. It didn't immediately attack. It watched her, studied her, then circled. Slow, controlled. Like it was testing distance. Alina lowered her stance. "This is not natural," she whispered. The leopard moved again, closer this time. Too close. Then it stopped. The jungle around them went completely silent. Even insects stopped. Even wind stopped. It was like the entire world had paused to watch. Alina exhaled slowly. "All right," she muttered, "let's end this quickly." The leopard suddenly lunged. Vast. Explosive. Alina reacted instantly, rolling sideways as claws struck the ground where her head was a second ago. She fired. Bang! The shot echoed through the jungle. The leopard twisted midair, landing hard but not stopping. It charged again. Alina moved backward, using broken helicopter debris as cover. Bang, bang. 2 more shots. One grazed its side. The other hit metal. The leopard roared, this time louder, more aggressive, but still didn't retreat. It wasn't acting like a normal animal anymore. It was persistent. Relentless. Like it had a purpose. Alina climbed onto the wreckage, gaining height. "Why aren't you leaving?" she shouted into the jungle. The leopard leapt again. Alina fired at close range. Bang! This time the shot landed. The leopard fell into the darkness, disappearing into the trees. Silence returned immediately. But Alina didn't relax. Because predators don't behave like that. Not even in the wild. Not even when injured. Something was influencing behavior. Something was wrong with the ecosystem itself. Then her radio crackled again. Alina froze. Static filled the line. Then a broken voice. "If you're hearing this, move away from the crash site." Alina grabbed the radio instantly. "Who is this? Identify yourself." A pause. Then, "You are inside a controlled zone." Her eyes narrowed. Controlled by who? Static again. Then the voice returned, weaker. Not natural jungle experiments, failed containment. Alina's grip tightened. What experiments? but the transmission cut mid-sentence. Dead silence returned. She slowly lowered the radio. "Controlled zone," she repeated quietly. That meant this wasn't just survival. This was something else. Something engineered. Suddenly, a distant scream echoed through the jungle. "Human!" Short, cut off abruptly. Elena turned sharply toward the sound. Her instincts immediately classified it. Alive. Threatened. Nearby. She moved fast now, no longer cautious, only efficient. The jungle became a blur of movement as she pushed forward through dense vegetation. Branches scratched her arms. Mud slowed her steps. But she didn't stop. Because now she had proof. There were other humans here. And if someone was screaming, they were either survivors or bait. She reached a clearing. What she saw made her stop completely. Another wreckage site. But not a helicopter. A military transport vehicle. Destroyed. Burned. Surrounded by claw marks. Deep ones. Too deep for any normal animal. Elena crouched beside it, examining the ground. Boot prints. Human. Recent. And multiple directions. Some running. Some being dragged. Her mind connected the pattern instantly. Ambush. Not random. Systematic. "Someone is hunting people here," she whispered. A rustle behind her. She spun. Rifle up. Nothing. But she felt it now. The jungle wasn't just hiding threats. It was moving them. Guiding them. Positioning them. Like a battlefield being actively managed. Her radio crackled one last time. A final message. Night Cycle 3 begins soon. Then silence. Elena looked into the dark jungle ahead. "This isn't survival," she said quietly. "It's a game." And she was already inside it. The jungle no longer felt like nature. It felt like a system. A breathing, watching system that reacted to movement like it had intelligence. Staff Sergeant Elena Carter moved carefully through thick vines and broken terrain, her boots sinking slightly into wet soil. Every step was controlled, every breath measured. But now she wasn't just surviving. She was tracking answers. The destroyed military transport behind her confirmed one terrifying truth. This wasn't a simple crash zone. It was a kill zone. And someone had designed it that way. Elena paused near a fallen tree, scanning the area. The silence here was different than before. Not empty. Intentional. Like something was waiting for her to make a mistake. Then she saw it. A figure. Half hidden behind thick foliage. Human. Elena instantly raised her rifle. "Don't move," she ordered sharply. The figure froze. For a moment, only silence existed between them. Then the man slowly raised his hands. He was wearing military gear, but not American. His uniform was torn, muddy, and stained with dark marks that looked too fresh to be natural injuries. "Easy, easy," the man said in broken English. Elena didn't lower her weapon. "Identify yourself." The man hesitated. "Sergeant Markov, Russian Special Forces." Elena's eyes narrowed. "Russian." That changed everything. "You're a long way from home," she said coldly. Markov nodded slowly. "We are not here by choice." That line hit differently. Elena shifted slightly, still keeping distance. "What do you mean?" Markov looked around nervously before speaking. "This jungle, it is not normal operation zone. It is containment area." Elena stayed silent, listening. "We were sent to investigate signal anomalies," he continued. "Same as you, But when we arrived, everything changed. Changed how? Alina asked. Markov's voice dropped. The animals, they are not behaving naturally. They are controlled. A cold silence settled between them. Alina didn't respond immediately. Controlled. That word again. She had heard it twice now. From different sources. That was not coincidence. Markov took a step closer, but stopped when Alina raised her rifle slightly. Keep distance, she warned. He nodded quickly. Yes, yes, I understand. He pointed behind him. We lost entire unit within hours. Communication failed. Extraction impossible. Alina studied him carefully. You're the only survivor. Markov hesitated. I think yes. That hesitation said more than words. Alina changed her stance slightly, thinking. If he was telling the truth, then this jungle wasn't just dangerous. It was engineered to erase teams. Systematically. But why? Before she could ask more, a low vibration passed through the ground. Not sound. Pressure. Like something massive had shifted somewhere deep inside the jungle. Markov froze instantly. Alina felt it too. What was that? She whispered. Markov's face tightened with fear. Cycle beginning, he said. Alina turned sharply. Cycle. He nodded slowly. They reset environment every night. Movement increases. Predators activate. Alina's eyes sharpened. That's not possible. But even as she said it, she knew something worse. It wasn't just possible. It was happening. A distant roar echoed through the jungle. Louder than before. Deeper. Almost mechanical in rhythm. Markov backed away slightly. We must move. Open ground is death zone during cycle transition. Alina hesitated only a second. Then nodded. Lead. They moved fast through dense vegetation, staying low, avoiding open patches. Markov clearly knew parts of the terrain, but even he looked uncertain at times. Like the jungle itself was changing layout. Branches shifted unnaturally in windless air. Shadows moved where nothing should be. Alina noticed something disturbing. Animal sounds were increasing. But not randomly. Coordinated. From multiple directions. Like a perimeter forming. You said controlled animals, Alina said while moving. Explain. Markov kept his voice low. They are not natural predators anymore. Enhanced aggression, tracking behavior, some respond to signals. Signals from where? Alina asked. Markov didn't answer immediately. Then, deep facility, he said, somewhere underground. Alina stopped for half a second. You're telling me there's a base under this jungle? Markov nodded. Yes, hidden, not on any map. A sudden rustle made them both freeze. Something large moved between trees ahead. Too large for a normal predator. Alina raised her rifle. Movement, she whispered. Markov slowly backed up. The jungle darkened further. Even the faint moonlight struggled to reach the ground now. Then, it appeared. A massive shape stepped into partial view. But it wasn't fully animal. It was wrong. Its movement was fluid but unnatural, too coordinated, too precise, like muscle memory mixed with something artificial. Alina felt her stomach tighten. That's not a tiger, she whispered. Markov whispered back. It was. The creature tilted its head slightly. Not reacting like a wild animal, but observing. Alina aimed carefully. But something stopped her. Not fear. Recognition of pattern. This was not a predator acting on instinct. It was being directed. Controlled. The creature let out a low sound, almost like a signal. Then it turned away and disappeared. Elena didn't lower her weapon. "What just happened?" she asked. Markov's voice was tight. "They are not hunting randomly anymore. They are mapping us." Elena looked at him sharply. "Mapping?" "Yes," he said. "Movement data, response patterns, fear reactions." A cold realization formed in Elena's mind. "This is an experiment," she said quietly. Markov nodded once. "Yes." A long silence followed. Then Elena spoke again. "Who is running it?" Markov hesitated, then said one word. "We don't know." Another distant roar echoed. Closer now. Surrounding. Elena tightened her grip. "So what do we do?" she asked. Markov looked at her. For the first time, real fear showed in his eyes. "We survive until they decide the cycle is complete." Elena turned toward the dark jungle ahead. "No," she said firmly. "That's not an option." And she moved forward, deeper into the controlled darkness. The deeper Elena Carter moved into the jungle, the more it stopped behaving like a forest. It began to feel like a designed environment, a system with rules she didn't understand, but was forced to survive inside. Every sound now had weight. Every shadow felt intentional. Beside her, Sergeant Markov moved cautiously, scanning the surroundings like someone who had already accepted that survival was no longer about strength, it was about timing. And somewhere ahead, the source of it all was waiting. "This way," Markov whispered. Elena followed without hesitation. The jungle had become too organized to trust instinct alone. Paths seemed subtly shaped, like something was guiding movement toward specific zones. After nearly 20 minutes of silent movement, the ground began to change. Metal, hidden beneath roots. Then concrete. Elena stopped instantly. "This is not natural terrain," she whispered. Markov nodded. "Entrance is close." A faint vibration pulsed through the soil again, deeper than before. This time it felt like machinery moving underground. Then they saw it. A structure partially buried beneath jungle growth. Camouflaged, reinforced, hidden under decades of vegetation. A facility entrance. Elena's eyes narrowed. "So it is real." Markov approached carefully and pressed his hand against a hidden panel. After a brief delay, a weak emergency light flickered on. A sealed door hissed open. Cold air escaped from inside. "Artificial. Controlled." Elena raised her rifle. "If this is a trap—" "It already is," Markov interrupted. Silence followed. Then they stepped inside. The moment they entered, the jungle noise vanished completely. No insects. No wind. No animal calls. Only the low hum of machines. The corridor was dimly lit with emergency lights, walls covered in scratched metal and faded warning signs in multiple languages. Elena scanned everything. "This is military-grade research," she said. Markov nodded grimly. "Biological control program." They moved deeper. Rooms lined with shattered glass containers passed by, some still holding dried residue of unknown substances. Screens flickered with corrupted data. Elena stopped in front of one. A file briefly became readable. "Project Night Cycle Predation Test." Her grip tightened. "Predation test," she repeated. Markov looked away. It was supposed to study survival adaptation in extreme environments, but it escalated. Elena turned sharply. "Escalated how?" Markov hesitated. "Animal behavioral override, neural stimulation, environmental conditioning." Elena's expression hardened. "You're saying they turned the jungle into a controlled hunting system?" Markov didn't deny it. That was answer enough. A distant mechanical sound echoed through the facility. Not random, directional. Something was activating. Elena raised her weapon. "We're not alone," she said. Markov nodded, security system still active. They moved faster now. The facility corridor opened into a larger control chamber. And what they saw stopped them completely. A massive central monitoring room. Screens lined the walls. Live feeds of the jungle. Dozens of camera angles. Tracking movement. Tracking animals. Tracking humans. Elena stepped closer. Her own image appeared on one screen. Live. Following her movement in real time. Her jaw tightened. "We've been watched the entire time." Markov's voice dropped. "Not watched, tested." Suddenly, alarms blinked red across the room. A system voice activated. "Subjects DATACTAD in restricted zone." Elena raised her rifle instantly. "Move," she ordered. But the doors behind them sealed shut. Metal locking mechanisms engaged across the facility. Then, a new sound. Heavy footsteps. Approaching. From multiple directions. Markov looked around. Security units. Elena turned toward the central console. There has to be a shutdown point. She moved quickly, accessing the system panel. Encrypted layers. Military override protocols. She worked fast. Too fast to think. Only training. Only survival. Behind her, the footsteps grew louder. Then, the first security unit entered the chamber. Not human. Not animal. Something in between. Armored. Controlled. Mechanized movement. Elena fired immediately. Bang! The shot hit the unit, but it barely slowed. Markov fired next. Bang, bang. Still advancing. Elena shouted, "We need the shutdown code." Markov rushed to another console. "I'm trying." More units entered. The room was filling. Elena moved strategically, using consoles as cover, firing controlled shots to slow them down, but not stop them. "They don't feel pain," she shouted. Markov finally yelled back, "Got it," initiating emergency purge sequence. A siren erupted. The entire facility began shaking. Screens flickered violently. Then a message appeared. "Purge sequence, activated." Elena looked up sharply. "What does purge mean?" Markov's face tightened. "Facility reset. Everything inside gets erased." Elena froze. "That includes us." Markov nodded. "Yes." A deep mechanical countdown began echoing through the facility. 10, 9, 8. Elena made a decision instantly. "Where's the exit route?" Markov pointed. "Surface tunnel, emergency lift system." They ran. Gunfire echoed behind them as security units advanced. The entire facility was now collapsing into emergency shutdown mode. Lights flickered violently. Walls vibrated. The jungle above them felt distant but alive. They reached the lift chamber. Markov slammed the activation panel. Nothing. Elena fired at the console lock. Sparks flew. The lift activated. 3-2. The platform began rising. The facility exploded into chaos beneath them. Security units tried to follow, but were trapped behind sealing doors. Elena looked down as the darkness swallowed everything. Then, a massive shockwave hit the structure. The entire underground system began collapsing. 1. The lift shot upward, bursting through layers of earth, breaking through roots, through soil. through jungle. Finally, they exploded into daylight. The platform crashed into open ground, throwing them forward. Alina rolled, quickly standing with weapon raised. Silence returned. The jungle was still there, but different. No longer controlled. No longer reacting. Just alive again. Markov sat up slowly, breathing heavily. "It's over," he whispered. Alina looked around cautiously. "No," she said. "It's just reset." A distant roar echoed far away. But this time, it didn't feel controlled. It felt natural. Markov looked at her. "So what now?" Alina checked her weapon, then looked into the jungle. "We walk out," she said firmly, "and we make sure this never happens again." She stepped forward, this time not as prey, but as survival itself.